Yes, that's when we understand that the event will be starting at about 6 o'clock. And from what I've heard from people with the former president's team on this, with their advance team, Donald Trump's set to probably speak around 7 o'clock tonight. Again, that's always approximate with events like this. But as you noted, this is the Lee County GOP's Lincoln Reagan Dinner. They do say it's sold out. There has been a long line as people have been streaming in. We're still about an hour until, again, the event is all set to start. But got plenty of tables here as people are getting ready to hear what the former president has to say. Of course, he's running back for 2024. And dinners like this dot the Republican political schedule all throughout the country in these months leading up to the first caucuses and primaries, especially in some of those early states like Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, but also major states like this one, like Florida, where momentum is always key. And former President Trump, while not winning re-election 2020, got a lot of momentum out of this part of Southwest Florida because he did get 59% from Lee County. For 3 years ago, rather, he got even more support in neighboring Charlotte and Collier counties. And the two House Republicans who represent nearly all of our viewing area in Southwest Florida will also be speaking along with the former president. Both Byron Donalds and Greg Steube have formally endorsed Trump for the 2024 campaign, even at this stage. And this all comes just weeks after a Manhattan grand jury indicted the former president for his role in having his former attorney set up shell companies for the payments to two different women to ensure their silence during the final days and weeks of the 2016 presidential campaign about allegations of affairs, with those payments happening while he was in office. But the national polling has not shown much negative impact for Trump since that point. And in the theoretical polls on him versus Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, that lead has actually gone up in recent weeks, up to about 30 to 35 points over DeSantis. Of course, worth noting that DeSantis has not officially announced that he's going to run for president, but he has taken a lot of those steps, releasing a book and also going to many of those early primary caucus states, most recently in South Carolina. We talk about Southwest Florida. This is also a hot spot for DeSantis support as well. It was back in November in his re-election victory for governor. Ron DeSantis captured 68% support here in Lee County and also more support into the 70s in neighboring Charlotte and Collier counties. So while this place is a hotspot of support for both former President Trump as well as Governor DeSantis, wherever the former president goes, often protesters will follow. And for a look at some of the support or some of the opposition that's outside, we'll bring in Fox 4 Investigates Ryan Kruger, who's just outside of the venue. Ryan.
Yeah, Chris, you talk about a hot spot for support. It's also just a hot spot in general. That sun baking down, it kind of gives you an idea of some of the passion some of these folks have. I'll show you some of these supporters that we have lined up. So it's a few dozen people that are out, kind of in this intersection. If you're familiar with downtown, we're right at the Calusa Sound Convention Center, right across from the post office on Monroe Street. They're kind of lining up and down Monroe Street. So this crowd right here is at the intersection of Monroe and Bay. There's, right now I can see possibly only one protester. He might have a few people with him. Handful of supporters that are out here, some of them waving flags. There was actually a group of people that we saw here a solid 4 hours before anyone else showed up. So really trying to make sure that they had everybody here. We spoke with some of the first people to line up. They set up their chairs. They wanted to catch a glimpse of the former president. Here's what they told us.
What don't I like about Trump? He's an everyday man. He's a businessman. He's not your average politician. He's done basically 99% of what he said he was going to do.
And one thing that's been interesting is that people are all trying to catch a glimpse of the former president. It's not clear where he might line up, so people have been kind of lining different ends of the street, hoping that eventually when it is he arrives, they might be able to catch a glimpse of him if he's getting out of his vehicle. All of that unclear at this point in time. I was asking some of these folks, why was it so important for you to make sure that you were here, even if you don't get to catch a glimpse of him? I'm going to talk about that coming up on Fox 4 News at 6.